The Spider-Man movies, which Tobey Maguire starred in, have become timeless, and the villains of each movie give a special and unique touch to the story, making the movie unforgettable. However, not all villains fulfilled their purpose. One of these villains is Harry Osborn. His story is not the best compared to other villains. We have a theory that reveals the reason for his failure as a villain, and today you will find out. Maybe you're saying, the only explanation for this is that the person who developed the script wanted Harry to not have a better role in the movie. That may be the most logical explanation, but if we take things further and start looking for an explanation other than the one we mentioned, we'll find one more that ends up being quite logical. If you want to appear in the next video, comment who this character is. It is no secret that Harry wanted to be like his father, and even better than him. He wanted Norman Osborn to be proud of his only son, since he wasn't proud of him. And boy, did he do his best. Only he did it after Mr. Osborn hung up his boots. Harry took things to the extreme by teaming up with Dr. Otto Octavius in order to create a revolutionary invention, but it ended in a gigantic failure and massive losses for the Oscorp Industries. While at the end of the second movie, he planned to take revenge on Peter, and in the third movie, he put the plan into action. He did exactly what Green Goblin ordered him to do: attack the heart. He took advantage of the fact that MJ and Peter's courtship was going through a bad time, making the breakup of the courtship extremely painful for both people. So far, the story of this villain sounds good. However, something happens that prevented him from reaching his full potential. Apparently, Harry was not the right person to receive the powers of the evil goblin. Let's say that this young man lacked the desire to dominate the world to have it in the palm of his hand, when in reality, he was a weak, dumb boy. And one more thing that later in the video I will reveal, these two things I just said can be glimpsed in the first movie. Let's talk about the times where the things we have mentioned are seen. The reason the bad guys at the school didn't bother him was not because they were intimidated by Harry, but because he had a millionaire father who could really hurt them. Even in a brief moment in the movie, they mention it in a sarcastic way.
Leave him alone.
Or what?
Or his father will fire your father.
What's Daddy gonna do? Sue me?
Harry was also stupid because he did not have good grades in school, and for some unknown reason, he was expelled from private schools. I think he was expelled for having bad grades. And also, when he wanted to attract MJ, he did not know how to get her attention. That's why he used his money with the idea of making the girl fall in love. But what Harry did not know is that Mary Jane was a girl interested in money, and when she accepted to be his girlfriend, it was not for love, but for his money. In the pinned commentary, I will leave you a video where we talk about this problem MJ has. In order to not continue talking about more evidence, let's summarize his life in a few words. This guy had a poor life despite being a millionaire man, and when his father passed away, Harry fell into depression. This brings us to one of the crucial points of the theory. At the moment, when Harry gets the powers of the Green Goblin, we look at one of the biggest clues as to why he was such an unsuccessful villain. This clue is subtly planted with the purpose that very few people understand. At the time the man used the green elixir, he did not use the correct dosage. There is a lot of evidence to back up what I'm saying, and I'll tell you about it next. Just by watching this scene, keeping in mind he didn't administer the correct dose, you will easily see that things don't match the effects of the magical green elixir. Let's start with something easy. When Mr. Osborn introduced the magic potion to his body, it generated a wild reaction that ended in big problems for Mr. Strom. Furthermore, this old man became a sexy old man because the super elixir caused him to gain muscles. This wild reaction is one of the effects caused by the elixir of evilness, because before Mr. Osborn used it, Dr. Strom makes it very clear that in the past they have done tests with rodents, and the end result ends in wild animals developing incredible strength.
And in the trial that went wrong, what happened? What were the side effects?
Violence, aggression, and insanity.
Before continuing with the video, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. Besides, if you give it a like, tonight you will dream that you are twerking with Spider-Man! As a bonus, Norman heard the evil voice of the Green Goblin in his mind that encouraged him to do evil without measure himself. This voice, or any similar voice, is never heard in the scenes in which Harry starred after becoming a supervillain. On the other hand, the movie itself lets us understand that something is not right with this villain. Normally, when a hero or villain obtains magical powers, we observe scenes where they give us a little performance, so we can discover what his power consists of. And we see that the muscles of his body also obtained a change. In the case of this millionaire guy, we didn't get nothing of both things. He didn't show what kind of powers he received, and he didn't receive any physical change. His body is not the best, to say the least. Whereas his father did receive a big improvement in his body. Remember a moment ago when I said Harry was weak, dumb, and one more thing I was going to say later? The one more thing I kept is that he wasn't a bad person. Maybe this sounds illogical and kind of stupid, but give me a few seconds to let you know our point of view. This man had a big heart. For this reason, he looked for friendships and love in people, since he didn't have it with his father because Osborn was a man who didn't show affection to anyone. One of the people Harry liked was Peter. The young millionaire did not care that there was a big difference in economic status. Peter was of low middle economic class, but that was not relevant to him. So much so that he came to consider him as his best friend. And he took care of him from the bad guys at school. The other person Harry loved so much was Mary, whom he tried to woo at all costs in order to not spend too much time alone, and also to feel loved by the person he loved. Do you remember that in the most important part of the third movie, Harry surprises us all because he changed his mind? Everything points to the cause of this sudden change was given that he did not administer the right dose of the green elixir and by his good feelings, as it was not the right dose. It only generated a slight effect of savagery and hate. However, his feelings of love were an essential part that helped him quench the thirst for revenge he felt, becoming a good character at the end of the movie, saving Spider-Man and MJ from the clutches of the villains. Something we cannot say the same about is Norman Osborn. This man was really mean, and in his heart, he kept a great evil that was easily released thanks to the voice of the Goblin. In the scene where Norman is talking with the mask of the Green Villain, he speaks, being Mr. Osborn himself, and by how he expresses himself, you can tell that he kept a lot of hate in his heart, since he agrees with the idea of hurting MJ, Great Aunt May, and Peter.
What do I do?
Instruct him in the matters of loss and pain. Make him suffer. Make him wish he were dead.
Yes.
And then grant his wish.
I think that everything mentioned explains why Harry was not a great villain compared to other villains in the same franchise or within the Spider-Man world. We can say that Harry is a lousy villain. There is nothing that makes him memorable. I want to believe that if this man had administered the right dose of the elixir, his story would have been quite different from how we know it today. Anyway, that was our theory. Don't forget to interact with us, commenting the DNA emoji if you think our theory has logic. And you can also comment the clown emoji if you think the theory does not make sense. Also, don't forget to watch the video where I showed you that MJ is a person invested in money. The link to the video is in the description and in the fixed comment. This is as far as we go with this video. Greetings to the people who commented on the previous video. I'm Ciara, and we'll talk to each other in another video. Bye!